Oh crap, I know what's going on. Oh, don't tell me I did that. You know why the hash is different? Because we double hashed it. We did double hashing on it. That's why it doesn't work. Oh my god, I can't believe I wasted half an hour on this. Hello friends, welcome back to the bench. We finished our last session trying to get the authentication in, and there were some issues. Since then, I added a unit test that performs our authentication. We're using the email and password. That's pretty much all we have on our entity that represents the user, and there will have to be some more stuff, like at least the user type perhaps, or maybe just the admin flag. Yeah, and probably name that is displayed under the ticket, right? But we don't need to worry about any of that. So let's run all our tests just to make sure we're in a stable state. The way the user's fixture, so to log in, we need to hash the password, right? Because in the database, the password needs to be hashed. So I just added hasher over here, or we have one test, which okay. So let's just make this test. What is this? Oh, this is the login form. You know what? Let's just kill it. Do we have yeah, we have validation. So let's just add this validation over here. So we're gonna do a new login form. This is not really needed. This assert true that our form validate email. Our email and password are provided. Now let's do this like so, because we will probably add in additional validation to the form to enforce the password complexity. And I have few ideas around that, because usually the typical password complexity validators are rather primitive in a way that there's they only check the complexity for presence of certain types of characters, right? We need special characters, uppercase, lowercase, number, right? But that's not all that complexity is. And let me just show you this example. A, right? A, 1, 2, 3, and special character, right? This is at least 8. This is not at least 8, but imagine that it is. All right. Oh, actually, this is exactly 8 characters. Yeah. So say our requirement is minimum 8 characters, capital letter, lowercase letter, number, and a special character. So this fits. But a lot higher complexity would be this exact same letters, completely different complexity, because here we're following certain pattern. So if I make an assumption that your password has 4 letters, then followed by 3 numbers, followed by 1 special character, and I can have certain typical rules like that set up for breaking password breaking passwords. This will be easier to break. I'm not saying it will be easy to break, but technically the complexity, since I can make this assumption that there's letters, then followed by numbers, followed by special character, if I can make that assumption, I can test it. If this contains pretty much the same characters, but it's a lot harder for me to make an assumption. So if I use the assumption that I made here, this password would be unbreakable, and this one would be breakable, right? So maybe we'll add some interesting complexity validation. I know it's going to be a pain for the user, but maybe that will just be the requirement for the administrative accounts. Or maybe we'll just do the password generation and tokenized sessions. Basically, log in once and you don't need to remember your password when you're on the same machine, right? Because right now we have two authenticators. One, obviously, the form, so we can log in, and the other session. But we also add a cookie authenticator because we want to have the remember me option, right? Maybe there'll be more, just like we have on Hesk, where you can determine. I'm dealing with a lot of interruptions today. So perhaps we'll have multiple selectors, just multiple tick boxes like Hesk does, and you can choose whether you want to be saved permanently, indefinitely, just for some period, or maybe just save my email but not my password or username, whatever. So this might be more complex. This is obviously the page that I ripped off from literal copy pasta from Bootstrap forms, login forms, something like that. So this is all Bootstrap, and I don't know, it's just I kind of liked it. Obviously this picture on the left over here will be replaced by something else, but this is not exactly customer-facing interface, right? Our customer-facing interface is a ticket submission. Okay, so we have our tests passing, and we have our login form. We cannot log in because we don't have an account. Okay, and we don't have an account because the database is empty. So I've been contemplating on that, and at the moment we're gonna do this. We're gonna bake a command that will be called register user, and using that command we'll be able to add a user. So let's go to that command, let's add it. We're not gonna do tests for it, and we need arguments. Well, it would be nice. Argument or option. Arguments are positioned, like basically if you add argument 1, 2, and 3, they need to be provided in that order, 1, 2, and 3. So we just kind of provide them by using the separator, spacebar, pretty much. Options, options can be provided in different order, and they are named, kind of named arguments. But the options, I think, I'm not sure, but I think the options are either exist, like basically switches, right? Either exist or not. So let's add argument. First argument will be email. And let's do our cheat sheet. Command objects. How do we define the help? Okay, but we don't really need help. Option EL boolean, but this is not boolean. So I just want to mark it this, well, actually, yeah, so that didn't help. Okay. And password. Yeah, so we should have two arguments. So args get argument email, and args get argument password. Okay, so we have these two. Now let's do this fetch table bhr users, a new entity, email, password, what was it, default hasher, default password hasher from here. Oh, but we need the instance. Hasher is new default password hasher here. What's the config? And hasher hash password. Okay. And save our entity. That's pretty much it. Let's do IO info, creating user, or actually, yeah, let's do this. If our result is false, that means we couldn't add it to the database, and usually that's the validator problem. I actually found a little bug in the framework working on this regarding, not regarding validation, regarding the code generation. It's actually not literal framework bug, it's more of a tools provided with the framework are just kind of not really compatible with the data structures that are available, or not with all of them. I might fix it later and submit a pull request. By later, I mean when I have some time. Anyways, so it failed. So let's submit error. Could not create user. Yes, and we'll return self code error. And in other case, we just do IO success done, right, and return self code success. Okay, that's pretty much it. And now, how do we run it? We will run it as so pretty much the same idea. Bin cake PHP, and instead of bake we just use create user, I think. And let's do blackhorserepairs@gmail.com, and password will be admin. Right, so the same as in unit tests. Unknown, create a user. Let's go to the documentation, because I guess I'm a bit rusty. Creating a command. I want to rename my command because it's complex. Default name. That is the one, yes. Yeah. Default name. So let's make it the first one, so you see right away, because normally you will default to the class name. So let's override default name, and we will return let's do create user. Can we use dash? Well, I guess we'll find out. So let's do create user. And there you go. Now, if that worked, we should be able to log in now. with password admin. Nope. So, is there a different salt for CLI and different salt for Apache? I doubt that. I'm doing something else wrong here. Oh, these are unit tests. That's why there's so few tables. Did we run the migrations? Yeah, we have PHR users. And, so why does it not work? So the password has been hashed. Let's delete this record. By the way, we need to check if the user already exists. We could use find by email. So empty will return true if it is empty. Find by email, fetch all, and check if it's empty. So we want to reverse that. So if it's not empty, that means it exists. So now, if exists, it's a little sloppy, but who cares? Let's do error. A user already exists. And return self code error. So now when I run it again, I should have this error that the user already exists. Oh, what is this? Oh, results set empty. Was it not empty? What was it called? Let's do this. To array and count is more than 0. I know there is a method that checks for empty, but I guess I don't remember correctly. It didn't work. Find by email didn't work. Let's add another one. Oh, now user already exists. So what am I doing wrong here? Did I? No, there's only one user now. Did I delete it? Oh my god. Did I? I must have deleted it. I already forgot. Well, it does work. Okay. I don't see the typo here. I see the typo here. We had missing P. Well, it still doesn't work. So what is wrong? No idea. This would be because we're using the same salt, right? Because it's the same environment. The salt is being used to create the hash. So if you move this database to another environment where the salt is different, you won't be able to log in. So that is usually the reason why you can't log in. Like you created the account on different salt. Nothing wants to work today. But let's check one more thing. In users controller, log in. No, not in users controller. In login form, we have a name. Because if there wasn't the name on the form, then we would get an empty string every time. But also the form wouldn't validate, but we don't validate the form, actually. There's really no point in validating this form. I mean, for presents, yeah, but I know you'll get your answer right away. Yeah, this is not safe, but we're debugging. So what I want to see is if I'm actually getting all the, because maybe they're reversed. Yeah, maybe I'm using, but no, that would mean we would have, yeah, we would have password here and email here. So it's not reversed, and it looks like it works to me. Yeah, admin, blackhorserepairs, and admin. Let's copy this and paste it over here. But I already checked for typos, and there was a typo, obviously. Come on, baby. Nichuya. I have no idea why it doesn't work. Not a clue. I mean, the only explanation is that we're somehow using different hash, using different salt. But as you can see in users fixture, right? That's what I'm doing. Hasher, default password hasher, which is authentication password hasher, default password hasher. Let's confirm. Yeah. And it works in users controller test. It works here. I'm logging in and I'm getting redirected to admin, right? And here for some reason it doesn't work. So if it didn't work in unit tests, I could just step through the code. But in this case, I can't really. I mean, I could configure it to stop from the browser, but you've seen that on the first sessions in my Hesk project is set up that way that I can breakpoint because I'm working on someone else's code base, so I need to have the ability to breakpoint or ability to break in the code. But here I'm working with my code base, so I don't necessarily need that. If I do need to step through some code, I just use unit tests. And main reason is that, you know, sometimes it just stops if you don't want it to stop, and sometimes it just keeps spinning, and you're thinking what is going on, and it turns out that breakpoint caught it. So for that reason, I'm not using the breakpoints along with the browser, but well, no but. There's no but. Let's dump the data that we are receiving. Email and password. Oh, now the browser now thought that we logged in. So I don't know. We're getting the correct data. We're using the correct hasher, right? Actually, let's do this. Shouldn't hash be the same? Oh my god. I just added that var dump, right? And die. And now I'm thinking, what is going on? Oh yeah, I know what I was saying. So the fixtures are applied, and then the table is truncated after the test for the new test to have clean database. Now I was expecting that the data would stay in the database, and that's mainly because I've used it. What is it called? It's in Bootstrap. You're basically like your initial schema. It's mainly useful when you have a project with an existing database. It's a legacy project, and you migrate it to, say, this framework, and so you don't have migrations to create all that stuff. So you need to dump the existing database and just inject it in the test before even the fixtures run. But then if you dump more than structure, because it should be only structure, but if you're also adding data, you're gonna have conflicts, ID conflicts. Anyways, let's go to our user. They do not match, not even close, but that doesn't mean they are not, because we do password hash verify. We don't just like you do in like MD5 or SHA-1 or those hashing algorithms. The hash, each time hash could be different. So they could be different because we're not comparing string to string. We're running mathematical verification on the hash. So let's try this, just so to satisfy my curiosity. In our application, let's update this hash to this hash. So this is the hash from the unit tests. Did you expect that? I didn't expect that. So the answer, there's only one possibility. The salt is different for CLI, for commands. And the way to find that out is bootstrap CLI, which should still run through, when you run unit tests, right? It should use the same salt. And there's nothing overridden here, right? Because this config will just be added when you're in CLI, but this config will be used. So set salt, security salt. And we're consuming the salt. So consume versus read. Consume, as the name suggests, it just takes the value and removes it. So this cannot be used twice. So if you just do again read on configure read security salt, it will not be there. Where are we getting our security salt from? Did I use the env file? I think I did. I think I did the salt in the env file, and it's probably at the bottom of the file, because that's where I keep the secret things. But that's where the salt is. So for some reason, when I run the command, my security salt is different. Thus, the hash is different. But if it was only CLI related, I would see the same behavior in the unit tests, right? But our hash from unit tests works in the browser, right? But the hash generated from the command doesn't. So the hash generated from the command uses different salt, and that is the only explanation. So hash, we do password hash, yeah. So we use native PHP method called password hash, and we give it hash type and hash options, and that's the password. And check uses password verify, password and hash password, right? I have a debug bar enabled here. Can I see the password, the security salt here? Environment, would it be in environment? This isn't coding session, this is debug session. This is our security salt that has been generated for this local environment. Now we will see the salt that is being used by our command. It looks the same to me. It looks the same to me. It is exact same. So the only other possibility is that the config is different and we're using different algorithm, hashing algorithm in the browser and different algorithm in the command line. But there are no differences in... It's not like the hash is different by one letter, by length or whatever. It's a completely different hash. And you end up with different hash if your salt is different, your password obviously is different, or your hashing algorithm is different. Everything here seems okay. Right? We have the same hash. Or the same salt. We have the same email and, well, password. We have the same password. Oh crap, I know what's going on. Oh, don't tell me I did that. You know why the hash is different? Because we double hashed it. We did double hashing on it. That's why it doesn't work. Oh my god, I can't believe I wasted half an hour on this. Jesus. Remember adding the set password on user entity? That was for the purpose of doing this, so we don't have to hash passwords. So we were just basically double hashing the password. That's why it didn't work. Let's go to our users. This is it. Let's delete this. Can you imagine wasting so much time on one simple thing, creating a command to add a user? Half an hour wasted. Oh, we have no way of logging out, because there's no logout button yet. So we need to just clear the cookies. Clear here. Let's go to login. That's why the hash from unit tests worked, because it was single hash. And this was admin. Will it work? We were just double hashing. That was the whole thing. And let me show you where we were double hashing, in case you don't remember. VHR user. Here. Alright, when we set this field, it'll be hashed automatically. So we don't have to worry about that. And I forgot I added that. Oh my god. Well, okay, I guess this session will just be the debugging. Okay, we do have, this is our old dashboard, but now it is protected by our session and no longer by the cookie. We removed the cookie, what do you call it, the middleware that loads the cookie. We still have admin controller, but note here that we have another dashboard here, admin dashboard -1. So this is our deprecated dashboard. So we had a admin controller before, where we started putting stuff that I needed, and this is pretty much all. This plus manage and ability to add payment requests. So I want to keep this because I use this on a daily basis to create payment requests for my clients. So we want to keep that, but I don't want to have an admin controller and have it being created into a God object, and everything admin related is in that one controller, and that controller will grow to 10,000 lines of code. So I want to have a prefix admin, and that translates into subdirectories. So we're gonna have a directory admin and several controllers over there. And there's gonna be my tickets action. So dashboard, I don't know what the dashboard is gonna be yet, and it's probably only gonna be for super admins or the admins, and the customer service personnel will be automatically redirected to my tickets, right? And work on your tickets, right? So we're gonna finish here this awful session, and this is pretty much the entire half an hour, because I only wanted to spend half an hour on this, and I spent way more with interruptions. And the entire session was just around creating this one command and finding why our hash didn't work, right? And that was a dumb bug, but some cases are like that. You're chasing a one-liner for hours and sometimes even days to find one-liner somewhere, which is we don't need this anymore. No. And we don't need the hasher anymore. So that will create, it checks for if the user doesn't exist and creates the user. That allows you to log in. Now, one last point I want to make is deploying the application. So if right now you want to deploy it, pull the sources, run composer, install. Or if you're using different platform that it was compiled for, use composer update, run migrations. You'll still have to do composer install, otherwise it won't create, well, complicated. Run migrations and run this command to create the admin user, right? So that is option number one. That all requires you to have an access to the server CLI, SSH access to the server. That might not be something that you will have. Maybe shared hosting is maybe not as popular nowadays as it used to be back in the day, because the prices of the servers dropped, mainly because of the storage is much cheaper now than a couple of decades ago. So it's unlikely that you're going to try to deploy it to shared hosting, especially since there's certain limitations, usual limitations of shared hosting sites, shared hosting providers. But my point is that I want to have an installer much like that legacy systems like Hesk. They come with the installation directory, right? And if you run it for the first time and there is an installation directory and there is no config, then it then it starts the installer, and you tell it, this is my database, this is going to be my user and all that. Then you click OK, and your system is installed, right? Your application is installed. I do want to have such option, but you can see how much how complex, mainly because you see how complex the installation procedure would be, at least at this point, and it's going to be even worse once we start adding stuff. So I do want to have a version that is installable, right? So the composer dependencies will be included. You don't have to do composer pull or composer install or update. The what do you call it? the environment validation or platform check will be disabled as well in the so it'll be slightly hacked version, right? The migrations, how are we going to run migrations? Running migrations through the browser is probably not the best idea, but that's the only option we have, because how else are we going to do that? Unless you have, well, obviously you have access to the database, so maybe you can just import the file to the database, maybe. It's not that hard to run migrations, because what is our bootstrap of tests? So here, migrator run, right? So we can call that from the browser, right? And it will, I'm not sure if it will run, because maybe it'll say that, sorry, you're not in CLI, and you can't run it, but I don't see anything. No, I don't see much stuff over here, so maybe it'll work. So we'll see about that. But my point is that I want to have that as an option. I want this to be installable easily. I don't want to require the user to have such abilities to do all this stuff, right? You just want to download it, click the button, and start using it. That is the idea. But it's going to take a while before we get there. Quite a while, especially if we spend half an hour fighting with the security salt. Anyways, thank you guys very much for watching, and I shall see you in the next one.